The following is an exclusive presentation of WI Garden Media, the voice of Garden Talk Radio.
Coming up on the program today, we're going to discuss perennial vegetables that you can put in your garden now that will grow for years, as well as growing tomatoes. Our guest is Asia from the YellowDoorUrbanHomestead, and we'll answer your garden questions. The hour's full, so join us.
You are listening to the most informationally packed hour of garden-focused radio in the country and on the internet with your host, husband and wife team Joey and Holly Baird. This is the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
And welcome to another edition of the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. Happy to have you along today. I'm your host, Joey Baird. Beside me is my wife, co-host, best friend, and gardening partner,
Holly Baird.
This program is for you, about you, to help your garden grow better, to maintain your landscape, grow healthier trees, make your grass look greener, as well as preserving what you grow. Want to be part of the program in addition to consuming it? You can do that. Two simplistic avenues in order to do such. You can give us a call toll-free, coast to coast, at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469. If we can't get to you, leave a message and we will call you back with the answer to your question. You can also send us an email to gardentalkradio@gmail.com. That's gardentalkradio@gmail.com. Love to hear where you're consuming the program from, whether you're listening to it on one of the 20 AM and FM frequencies broadcasting our program here in 2025, through our radio app, through our parent website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com, underneath the Season 9 tab at the top of the page, podcast replay, or in-studio video replay. Thank you so much. Before we get in the program, Holly, it's time for this week's Joke of the Week.
What did the farmer say to the tired cow?
Could be a lot of things. Move over? Or what?
Move over? No, it's past your bedtime.
There you go.
This week's joke is brought to you by Rescue.com. American-made rescue products keep your family, home, and yard protected from pest insects like wasps, hornets, yellow jackets, flies, ants, and more. Learn more at Rescue.com. That's RESCUE.com. So let's talk about perennials. Perennial vegetables, edibles, whatever you want to call them.
There's two categories. There's annuals, which are like tomatoes and eggplant and potatoes. You plant them that current year, they grow, you harvest, that's end. Perennials, you plant and they will come back year after year, like bulbs type of in that realm. So these are some vegetables or edible consumptional items in which we would recommend that if we knew what we know now 10 years ago, we would have planted these the first time we walked into the garden.
Right. And that's very true, especially,
we'll get to it. First is strawberries. Now there's June-bearing strawberries, which bear most of their produce in the month of June, and then there's everbearing, which they will produce throughout the season. We had June-bearing, and they did very well. We've talked about it several times in the program. We had a 20-foot by 15-foot area, and they kept multiplying, or the plants would propagate themselves through the daughter plants, which you can remove and transplant to a whole nother bed if you wanted to do such. And it worked out very well. And you have never understood the flavor of a strawberry, whether it's at a pick-your-own farm or grown in your backyard, compared to what they call strawberries at the grocery store.
Right. They are very delicious. They're very, they just have such an amazing flavor.
And these, you're homegrown, and you can start these from seed, which is a challenge, or you can get rootstock from your jungseed.com or your garden, your garden supplier. And that's what we did. Or you can actually buy the pre-grown starts in containers at your local garden center, which is the most expensive route to go. If you do the crown, you're going to probably not get any strawberries the first year, but you will get, it'll be much more affordable. And you got to be careful when you plant these that you don't plant them below the crown of the strawberry, because it will choke the plant out and it will kill it.
With that being said, if you see sometimes at these garden centers or even like the garden area of a large box store, you'll see these cute little hanging strawberry plant baskets.
Don't do it.
Don't buy those. I know they look cute. You're like, oh, I have these cute little strawberries, whatever. Don't do it.
You're going to get 7 strawberries off the plant, and you're going to forget to water, and it's going to die, and you spent, probably, what are they, $15 or something crazy like that at this point?
Yeah, probably.
An in-ground bed will last about 5 years off the original plants in which you grow. If you're concerned about pH, they need about a 5.3 pH level. So, full sun, and if you're concerned with birds, there's netting in which you can put over top of them in a frame or drape over top. Jerusalem artichokes, Holly, you can talk about this one.
Yeah, so Jerusalem artichokes, also known as sunchokes, are a perennial root crop, and they're actually part of the dahlia family. And you eat the roots, and it's basically like this kind of gnarly looking, smaller potato. It's less starchy than a potato.
Some people may identify it like looking like ginger root.
Oh yeah, I guess it does look like ginger root. And it's less starchy than a potato. It's a lot of people who try to eat low starch do enjoy them because it's lower on the glycemic index, if you know what that means. And yeah, they are perennial, so they come back year after year. They do tend to spread a little bit, but once they spread to a certain point, they kind of just stop.
There is a burgundy root color, and then there is a white, and that is most prevalent in the online shopping. You're not going to find these at grocery stores to eat. You may find them occasionally at a farmer's market in the fall because they take 150 days to grow, full sun preferred, and they'll grow in any conditions, really, any soil conditions. And if you're trying to extract, if you're concerned, I want to have this bed regenerate next year, you're going to dig up the plant or the root ball, pull all the roots, all the tubers out that you think you can find, throw one big one back in the hole, move on to the next plant, and you're going to be fine. Even if you think you've got them all out, you haven't got them all out. But just like anything, the larger the tuber, the larger the plant's going to be the next year.
And you might think to yourself, what if I try to sell my house and then these are growing in the backyard?
Mow them down, don't say anything.
Don't say anything. Also, they do produce, usually pretty flowers. So,
and this is something that is called a survival food because a lot of people just think it's a tall weed and they don't know what's underneath of it, underneath the ground.
So let's talk about asparagus.
This is one that if we knew what we know now, the first time we would have walked in the garden, we would have planted a whole mess of asparagus. There's burgundy asparagus or purple. There's green asparagus, and then there's bleached asparagus, which you can do, which is the absence of sunlight, and you cover the asparagus and it comes out white. Asparagus, you can start it from seed, which can be very long time frame. You can get 1-year roots, 2-year roots, and 3-year roots, and you'll plant them, and typically between the 4-5 year time frame, you can start harvesting everything that's coming up out of that bed. There's specific ways to plant it. We're not going to get in the details of that, but you can buy, like the strawberries we spoke about, you can buy the root starts at your garden center or online, and based on how much you want to spend, the 3 years are much more expensive than the seeds or the 1 and 2 years, but you're going to get a return much quicker on that. And go ahead.
I do want to say, I know we're not going to get into specific ways of planting it, but make sure you do your research. Don't plant them and then waste your money and not plant them correctly.
Yes. And raspberries. We've got golden raspberries.
They're delicious.
Yes. We had 3 plants. Bottom, I guess, was around the time
2020.
2020.
Yeah.
And then they have raspberries are known to spread, put runners underneath and shoot more plants up. And it's interesting that it's always going southward in the area that we've got. We had a little bed established, and we had to move a raised bed because they kind of infiltrated that. They've never gone north. They've always progressively worked south, which the sun kind of more goes on the south side. And probably in about another 2 years, we'll have enough to make a pie. We're getting quite a consumption of golden raspberries, which is a very unique taste compared to a red raspberry.
I want to make jam.
Or a blackberry. Okay. I
want to make jam.
Okay.
Or like a syrup.
Right.
Something like that.
Now, it's nothing like what you may find. Now, there are some people that have blackberry patches or raspberry patches where it is, 200 or 300 square feet, and they get gallons of berries at a time. We have property in the Northwoods of Wisconsin where we have found a berry patch where we can go in and in 30 or 40 minutes can get 8-9 cups of blackberries for that instance. They've been established for many years and very prolific in certain areas.
I should make a jam with those.
Yeah.
What am I thinking?
Land jam.
That would be or like a jelly, because I don't want the seeds.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know the seeds kind of get too much when you're for jam.
Now roses, you can eat rose hips. They've got vitamin C
and
in them.
like people put them in their tea.
So roses can be grown. You need a full sun location, good drainage, fertilizer, and then basically almost all roses are perennials. So you can plant them, and they're different sizes, different shapes. There's some maintenance that goes along with them, but it is and the more you trim the flowers off as they start to fade away, the more blooms you're going to get. But roses are a very beautiful plant. You can get almost in every color imaginable. And if you see here, we've talked about this, and there's just a warning to all of you. If you see on your favorite social media platform, a rainbow rose or a black rose.
Well, I think
rare, get the seeds now. It doesn't exist because Photoshop has been used and it's a fake deal. If the biggest seed companies in the world do not have this type of seed, it doesn't exist because they would have it. It's not some person in Boise, Idaho that has only 17 seeds and nothing else in the world exists. Use your common sense and don't do that.
Right.
But what you do want to do
is you want to use your common sense and check out Walton's Inc. We are brought to you today by Walton's Inc. We know that we care about where our food comes from, canning, preserving, etc. But at Walton's, you can get all the equipment, seasoning, and supplies to make sausage, jerky, and any other meat product your way to your high standards. Do you want to make snack sticks that people will actually like? Walton's created meatgistics.com, an informational site to help you make the best finished product. Walton's even has a full line of their own meat grinders, mixers, sausage stuffers, and more to help you go from animal to edible. Walton's, everything but the meat. You can use code GROW50, that's GROW50, to save 10% off your orders of $50 or more at waltonsinc.com.
When we return, we're going to talk about planting or growing tomatoes once they've been put in the ground in your garden. You're tuned into the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
Brome is home to the Squirrel Buster brand of truly squirrel-proof bird feeder. We have been designing and manufacturing wild bird feeders since 1998. When a squirrel lands on the Squirrel Buster, its weight automatically closes the seed ports, denying access to the seed, but not harming the squirrels. We design products that are simple enough for anyone to use. They're built to last a long time and are backed by our lifetime care to extend the life of our products. We offer expert customer service to help owners with any needed maintenance or repairs. Visit brome.com for more information. Make watering easy. DripWorks provides quality drip irrigation supplies and equipment to gardeners just like you for all your growing needs across the U.S. and Canada. Purchase online at dripworks.com.
Edmonds Roses is a family-owned and operated rose company with the largest selection of roses online. Use coupon code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at edmondroses.com. That coupon code is 15TG25 to save 15% off your order at edmondsroses.com.
Wondering if your soil is ready for a successful spring planting season? At Grow Smarts, we make it easy to find out. With our at-home soil test kits, you can pinpoint exactly what your garden or lawn needs to thrive. Simply order online and we'll ship a test kit right to your door with everything you need, including a prepaid shipping label to send the item back. In just 2 business days, you'll receive clear, concise lab results highlighting your soil's pH levels and nutrient needs. Plus, our customized recommendations will guide you on the perfect fertilizers and amendments to use. No more guesswork, just healthier plants, vibrant flowers, and bountiful harvests. Right now, you can save 10% on your order with the code RADIO at growsmart.com. That's GROSMART.com with code RADIO. It's time to kick off your spring garden with confidence. Make the most of your soil and watch your garden flourish. Because when you grow smarter, your garden flourishes.
4-Jar Canning Supply, your one-stop shop for all your canning needs, where old ways meet new in every jar. They are a family with decades of home canning experience, offering top quality products and outstanding service. Never run out of canning lids again. Whether you're a seasoned canner or just starting out, their extensive range of canning products will elevate your canning game. 4 Jars gardenwithjoey.com. Inspired by the homemade preserves of our childhoods, they want to share that same joy with you. They deeply care about your family's health and understand the importance of homemade, nutritious meals. That's why they offer high-quality products to help you preserve your food. Quality canning lids, pressure canners, vacuum seal machines, and all the tools you need to get the job done. 4 Jars has you covered. Our canning lids provide the perfect airtight seal for any regular, wide, or gym-sized jar. With the thickest lids on the market, they provide long-lasting freshness, up to 18 months, and are rust-resistant, ensuring your preserves stay secure. Use code 4JARS25 to save 10% off your order at 4jars.com. That's FORJARS25 to save 10% off your order at 4jars, FORJARS.com.
Want bigger blooms and better yields? Without the hassle, Carricade makes gardening easy with eco-friendly, effective solutions. Rated 4.8 stars, trusted by growers like you. Shop Carricade.com and use the code RADIO10, that's RADIO10, to save 10% off your order at Carricade.com. R.H. Shumway is a family-owned and operated gardening company with a large selection of seeds and plants online. You can use code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at rhshumway.com. That's code 15TG25.
Welcome back to the Garden with Joey and Holly radio show. Happy to have you along. Miss any of those coupon codes or want to see all of our sponsors that support the program and allow us to be on your radio station, you can do that by going to our parent website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com, and under the Money tab is the coupon codes, and under the Season 9 tab is past shows and all the sponsors.
Well, my goodness, how about that intro music? It gets me in the mood to plant tomatoes.
Is that what it takes? Okay.
I don't know. Anyway, we're going to talk about growing tomatoes in the ground.
Now, this is after you've bought them or started them or whatever. This is whenever you've hardened them off and it's time to put them in the ground.
All right, so you want to think of
well, I guess let's start with hardening them off.
Okay.
Let's explain that, because people do not understand that terminology.
You love talking about hardening off the tomatoes, because I didn't grow up with seedlings, right. So you can talk about.
So hardening off is a process of acclimating the seedling, whether it's tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, anything you started indoors and you're transitioning outside, in a time frame in which the plant gets more and more adapted to the environment in which it's in from where it was. So you take your tomato flat of seedlings and you take them outside on a warm day, let's say 65, 70 degree day, light winds, and put them in a partial shade area where it's, what is it called? Speckled sunlight? Is that the term? Speckled sunlight for about an hour or two. Bring them back in. Now, this is going to be a challenge if you work during the day and you don't have access to that availability. So this is a premise. You can adapt it however it works for you. Then you kind of bring them out. You can do that over, that first day, 2 or 3 hours in that partial shade. And then the next day you bring them out for a little bit longer and put them a little bit more in the sunlight. Same thing over and over for the 3rd, 4th, 5th day. And by the 6th or 7th day, you're leaving them out all day in the seed tray, hydrated, in full sun, and overnight. And then you can put them in the ground. Also, the key about putting them in the ground, you can have your plants hardened off. And it can be warm all that week, 60, 70 degree days, very nice. But that ground, if you take your socks off and walk barefoot on the ground, if it still feels chilly to your feet, those plants are not going to be happy. They can be okay at 50 degrees, but they don't like it. You're really looking at 55, 60 degrees at root zone. How do you find the root zone? Or how do you find the temperature at root zone? You use a digital meat thermometer and probe it down 3 or 4 inches safely, and you're going to get some mixed readings. But when you get between that 55 and 65 range, and there's nothing wrong with waiting to plant these tomatoes.
No, so you might hear like a coworker or neighbor.
Guess what I did this week? I put 400 tomatoes in the ground.
Yeah, and you might be like, oh my goodness, I'm behind. Your coworker, neighbor, whoever
may not know what he's doing.
May not know what they're doing, and exactly. And rushing the process, you hear all the time. Trust the process.
Saw it on the TV. I don't know why you sound like an old guy.
Trust the process. So trusting the process means like planting your tomatoes at the right temperature. Because Joy and I did this once. We started, like a week early or something, or 2 weeks early, and then there was a cold snap, yeah. And the tomatoes, I mean, they survived, but
they weren't happy.
They were not happy, and we thought we were going to have to replant everything. So it's better to wait a week and plant them when it's proper.
And what is the saying? I'd rather plant my tomatoes the first time than the second time when my neighbor plants his the first time.
Yeah, right.
And you can, when we talked about the hardening off, if you have bought your tomatoes from a garden center, an independent garden center, big box store, and they are outside, you do not have to go through the hardening off process. That has already been done for you. You can literally take them, drive them home, and put them in the ground, and they're good to go.
Now, if you buy them and bring them inside for some reason.
Correct.
And then you leave them inside for like a week or whatever, then you have to go back to hardening them off. But if you buy them like, say, Friday evening, and then you're gonna plant them Saturday, just leave them outside. Yeah.
Now, planting them in the ground, there's a couple of methods in which you can plant them. You can dig them deep because and bury the stem about 3/4 of the way up and leave the top quarter of the stem exposed, or that is because all the hairs on the stem has the potential of creating more roots. All the hairs can be roots. You can also do the trench method, which if you cannot dig deep, if you've got a shallow raised bed or only got so much good topsoil before you hit clay, you can actually dig a trench and lay that tomato plant on its side and plant it that way, and then bend the top of the tip up so you have 2 or 3 inches above the ground, and then everything else is buried. Now, that can be a challenge because plants are sensitive and you can actually snap the plant in half. So you can take your seedlings, and if you've got them in individual cups or you're pulling them out of seed tray, lay them flat in the area in which you're going to do the trench method for about 2 hours. It's okay if they get a little dry. They're going to kind of bend upwards slightly, so you're going to get a little curve naturally into them, and then you can plant them. Now, the other thing is, what do you put in the hole at the time of planting? Some people put nothing. Growing up on the farm, we always did a triple tin, and that was it. Mm-hmm. Now we've seen, because of the technology of social media and the internet, which is on computers now, that people will put everything that they can imagine in the hole at the time of planting. Powdered milk, crushed eggshells, Tums, got to have calcium, can't have blossom end rot. And I go through this, and we go through this each year, that typically you do not have a calcium deficiency. There may be a few areas, and a soil test from soilsavvy.com or ThinkSoil or GrowSmart.com will solve that issue. But putting powdered milk or crushed eggshells or Tums does not fix the problem. If you're going to use Tums, you better use 80 of them, because we had Robert Pervera on last year, the garden mythbuster. You need 80 Tums in order to sufficiently supply the tomato with the adequate amount of calcium, assuming you have low calcium in your soil. Blossom end rot, Holly, is...
It's a physiological problem. And so, as Joe had mentioned, is making sure your plants are consistently being watered. So a lot of people, it's a lack of access for available to the plant of calcium. Yeah. So this happens to a lot of people because you plant your tomatoes, and then usually it rains a few times within the next couple of weeks, and you don't think about watering them, and then all of a sudden it gets kind of not droughty, but it doesn't rain as much.
The soil's not moist like a sponge.
Right. And you're like, okay, and then you get your first set of tomatoes, and they have blossom end rot, which basically, if you look at the bottom, not the stem side, but the blossom side of the tomato, and it's usually black or dark brown, and that's blossom end rot. And so then,
if you see that as they're developing and they're green, pull them off the plant, because there's no sense of having more energy dumped into the things that you can't use.
Yeah, and the tomatoes will, then the plant will produce more. But then what happens is that people are like, oh, add this or this or this, and then water it in. And it's not what you're adding, it's watering it in. And that calcium is locked up in the soil because it's not wet like a sponge, as Joey says. And once you water, it releases those nutrients, especially the calcium, back into the plant and takes care of that blossom end rot problem.
So now, once we've got it in the ground, how do we support it? You've got to support your tomatoes. 50% of your tomato harvest will be lost if you do not cage or support your tomatoes in some form or fashion. You can use a big, fancy, expensive tomato cage. You can use the cheap little tomato cages with T-post or some type of post in order to support them. You can use a method called the Florida weave, which is a strip, let's say you got 8 tomatoes in a row. You've got a big steel T-post on one end and another T-post, a thick metal fence post on the other, and you run strings back and forth like a wrestling ring, and then the plants will grow. You'll have to assist them, but they'll grow up through those strings, and they can hang on that, and that acts as a cage.
Now, you want to do two layers or whatever you want to call it.
2 strings both ways. Some people will do one. We do a 2, so there's 1 on each side. So when you spread them apart, the plant you can get the leaves up over those strings, and the plant can hang on it much easier with 2 strings on each 1 foot, 2 foot, 3 foot, and 4 foot height. And it works very well. We use an agricultural twine, the type that they use, that plastic twine that they use to wrap the big round bales in the fields with. We get 20,000 feet for like $20, and we'll never use it up. And it's orange. That's just the color it is.
So the thing is that it's not fancy garden magazine aesthetic. It does its job. It's not like you're going to win design awards for this look, but it does a really good job. It's cheap. So if you want something where you're like, no, I want to look prettier, those are your options, but this is something that works really well, and it's not a lot of things that you have to buy or invest in or gather, and it's items that you may already have. So that's what's helpful about the Florida weave. And so that's the tomato support. You could also get those tomato cages that they sell at pretty much every hardware store, garden store, big box store, wherever you have been around here. It's really popular to see ones that are colored for like sports teams. Otherwise, you can find them online. But again, I've seen them pretty much at every garden center, etc.
As the plant grows, you want to trim off the lower 6 to 8 inches of the limbs and leaves in order to keep soil splash up from hitting the leaves, which can work and cause early blight on your tomatoes.
Yeah, so early blight is something that lives in the soil. There's good and bad things that live in our soil. It's in everybody's soil. It doesn't matter, and early blight is one of them. And so when you trim the lower portion of leaves, it helps prevent that splash up getting onto the plant, where the early blight would exist. So when you trim them and you keep them trimmed, it helps prevent that. And obviously, like watering near the base of the plant, but mulch. If it rains, mulch. If it rains, it's not like, it's not like the rain knows to just only water near the base of the plant. So mulch helps with that as well. And then also whole grain cornmeal.
Yellow whole grain cornmeal, it's got to be yellow, has a beneficial bacteria in it called trichoderma, which fights the bad bacteria, which is the early blight in your soil.
So you want to make sure that it's whole grain, and so it's going to be a little bit more expensive than the not whole grain, the more refined grain, I guess. But they sell it pretty much everywhere. If you can't find it, you can always look online or like an organic food store. But you want to make sure it's yellow whole grain.
A handful at the base of the plant after it's been put in the ground, and then you can put your mulch on top of it, water it, and you're good to go. And you will be amazed of how much this reduces the early blight that your plants are susceptible to. Now, we don't know if it works on like potatoes or peppers, but tomatoes, it works incredibly well. And we've been doing it for 11 years now with a very good success. Prior to finding this out from Bob Webster, a master gardener and garden radio host back years ago in Texas, I don't know if he still has a show down there or not, we would have a plant by the end of the season that was just dead with fruit hanging off of it. Now we have very lush plants that continue to produce fruit up to the time of frost. So it works very, very well. Well, Holly, what also you should be preparing for is the warm weather that soon will be with us, and that will be meaning that the grubs and beetles will also be there.
Yeah, spring is pretty much here, and it's time to start thinking about controlling beetles, grubs, etc. in your yard. You know, people are always talking about those Japanese beetles, and they're not too far away.
Grub Gone can be applied directly to your turf, ornamentals, and just irrigate it right in the ground to lessen the chance of the impact that those beetles will have on your yard this summer. Easy to apply. Use a commercial spreader, or again, just irrigate it right in the soil. Specifically designed to target grubs and beetle invaders without harming beneficial insects such as bees, butterflies, and ladybugs.
And it's the only non-chemical that works. You can find out more at phyllombioproducts.com. That's PHYLLOM bioproducts.com.
Hang out with us when we return. Asia from the Yellow Door Urban Homestead will be with us. You're tuned in to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Have a garden question? Give Joey and Holly a call now or anytime 24/7. Just dial 1-800-927-SHOW. If you can't get through, leave a message and they will call you back. Call now, 1-800-927-SHOW.
Chip Drop is a website you can sign up for free wood chip mulch delivery right to your door for free. Chip Drop connects homeowners and gardeners with tree services who are trying to get rid of their wood chips. You can also sign up to get free logs and firewood. Go to chipdrop.com to learn more and sign up for a free account.
David J. Frank, Southeastern Wisconsin's leading landscape company, is a landscaper you need. Their award-winning services include everything from lawn care, landscape maintenance, design, construction, renovation, irrigation, sustainability, and more. Big or small, let the experts at David J. Frank handle the hard work for you. Find out more at davidjfrank.com.
Get higher yields with durable green bed raised garden bed kits designed to be drainable, breathable, pest resistant, and long-lasting. DurableGreenBed.com. Abundance guaranteed.
Roots and Rhizomes is a family-owned and operated gardening company specializing in daylilies, irises, and perennials. Use code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at rootsrhizomes.com. That's code 15TG25. Garden like a pro in 3 easy steps and receive customized fertilizer recommendations for your garden or lawn. Soil Savvy helps you determine what nutrients your plants need to thrive. Never again over-apply nutrients they don't need. A patented process that makes you a smart gardener. To get your soil test kit, go to mysoilsavvy.com.
Have insects such as aphids or fungal gnats invaded your plants? Fight back with Summit Year-Round Spray Oil and Summit Mosquito Bits. Organic Summit Year-Round Spray Oil kills insect pests on indoor and outdoor plants. All natural mosquito bits kill fungal gnats larvae in container plants. Both products are harmless to people, plants, and wildlife. Summit Year-Round Spray Oil and Summit Mosquito Bit are available at garden centers, hardware stores, and at SummitResponsibleSolutions.com. If you could double the life of your raised bed boxes by sealing the wood with a clear, non-toxic wood preservative, would you? Well, now you can with a clear, penetrating product called Internal Wood Stabilizer. It's 100% non-toxic and easy to apply. Seal your untreated wood surfaces, even chicken coops, by spraying on Internal Wood Stabilizer. It's invisible, seals the wood from the inside out, and never wears off. Recommended by organic gardening experts. Internal Wood Stabilizer. Check it out at timberprocoatingsusa.com. Tree Ivy Root Development System, the quickest way to get new trees on their feet. treeivy.com. Vermont Bean Company is a family-owned and operated gardening company with the largest selection of seeds online. Use coupon code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at vermontbean.com. That coupon code is 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at vermontbean.com.
Wind River Chimes will always be the inspiring harmony. With a large selection and customization options, you will find the sound that soothes you. Visit windriverchimes.com to shop and find out more.
Jung Seed Company is a family-owned and operated gardening company since 1907 with the largest selection of seeds and plants online. Use coupon code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at jungseed.com. That coupon code is 15TG25. TG25 to save 15% off your order at junkseed.com.
Totally Tomato is a family-owned and operated gardening company with the largest selection of tomatoes online. Use code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at totallytomato.com. That's code 15TG25.
Welcome back to the Garden with Joy and Holly radio show. Happy to have you with us. Want to check out those sponsors you've heard throughout the program? You can find them at our parent website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com, located at the Season 9 tab or the Money tab at the top of the page. Holly, let's go to the hotline and bring in our guest for this week.
Asia Spratley is a working mother of 2 with an urban homestead. They also have a pet dog, some chickens, and quail. She shows all of this and many great gardening tips on her YouTube channel, Yellow Door Urban Homestead. Welcome to the program, Asia.
Hi, thank you.
Well, let's start with this. How did you get into gardening? Everybody has their unique story. Was this something that was developed early in your life, or you found the aha moment later?
I found an aha moment later. In 2020, when we could not go outside and you had to stay at home, I wanted to find something to do with my daughter so we could get, outside. And we had a garden bed, just one block garden bed that we had been kind of planting in, but not really taking it serious. And so when 2020 came, I was like, well, we'll just move it to the other side of the yard where there's a little more sun, and that'll give us something to do. And my first year of gardening was absolutely horrible, but it just caught on. Like, I was very excited to grow something, even though it wasn't like, it didn't go well. So I expanded the garden. I added 2 more block beds. And then just from there, I started to add additional beds, no dig, raised beds, and everything else, chickens, quail. So it was kind of an aha moment during 2020.
And that's the thing with a lot of gardeners. And if you've got hobbies, you're not going to be perfect the first time you remodel a car or your bathroom. You're going to learn as you go just in gardening. So it's good that, we make the mistakes so we know what not to do next time.
Absolutely. Yep. I've learned so many things from mistakes that I've made. And then I'm a big experimenter too. So I learned things that, you might not read in a book or you might not see on the internet, just by experimenting.
So now that it's been, 5 years, how are your children about the garden? Are they still into it? Do they enjoy it? Do they, tell their friends about it? What's the situation there?
So they definitely tell friends about it. They talk about it. They don't help much anymore. However, when we go out of town or something, my son is very willing to take care of the chickens, the quail, water the garden for me. But a lot of what I do now is on my own, and it's because I enjoy it so much. My daughter may come outside to keep me company, or she'll volunteer to help on, days that she just doesn't have much to do. But for the most part, it's my garden, and they help if I need them.
What was something that in that 2020 first year, you were like, I really want to grow this, and it failed, but now you have that one thing that you have adapted and figured out that you are successful with it now every time you grow it?
Tomatoes. I would say tomatoes. My first year, my tomatoes got blight so terrible, but I didn't, understand anything about pruning or anything like that. And I live in a very humid area. So I'm in Virginia. It's very humid here, and I didn't know about that. So the tomatoes got blight, the plants got blight. And so now I know, pruning is a good thing. Even if I decide not to prune, then I know why my tomatoes have blight. I also decided to start growing them in containers, which helps me out a lot as well. Well, grow bags, which helps me out as well. But tomatoes, I wanted them really bad my first year. And now I get, so many pounds of tomatoes because I know what I'm doing at this point, just off of, trial and error.
Fantastic. So your YouTube channel is Yellow Door Urban Homestead. If, when our listeners check it out, can you tell them what they can expect, what your channel is all about?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing I like to say is that my channel is a very real channel. I do not, I don't say that I'm an expert because I'm not. And so when things go wrong, you're going to see that they went wrong on my channel. When they go right, you're going to see that they grow right. And so basically I'm growing in my backyard in an urban setting. I have probably, I want to say 10 or 12 mixtures of beds. So I have raised beds, in-ground beds, no dig beds. I have a small orchard and 2 greenhouses. I'm raising quail over here. I also have chickens. And so you're kind of going to see a small homestead, but also you're going to see like being able to care for animals, even though I live in the city and it's happening in my backyard. But we only have birds at this point. Looking to get bees, also looking to get rabbits because I do want to have meat sources. And at this point, I have quail and those are my meat sources and the chickens are for eggs. And so you're going to see a very realistic, vlog type of channel because I don't do just a lot of sit down teaching videos because I just like it to feel natural. Like you're in the backyard with me and we are working in the garden together.
And we've all watched YouTube channels where there appears to be never a failure, and it doesn't seem very genuine. Whenever you say, hey, I messed this up, here, I did this, don't do it this way, you really connect with the audience in a way that you can't in any other way.
Yeah, I definitely think being, completely genuine and showing everything that happens and not just the things that go well is definitely a way. I also think it's a way for people to not feel scared to garden because if you're seeing someone on YouTube that's having failures too, you're like, okay, one of the things I say on my channel all the time is it's fine. It's kind of like a catchphrase over there because it is fine. I can try again next year.
Absolutely. So how did you get into raising quail? And it sounds like those are meat quail. It must be different than raising chickens. Kind of tell us the difference there. And then any suggestions for people who might want to raise quail themselves?
Oh, yeah, I can tell you that. So I got into quail for like I said, I wanted a meat source on my homestead. And originally I was looking at rabbits. And because I was not educated in rabbits, the one thing that I saw is when you call them, process them, they could make a noise. And I was like, there's no way I could do that. And so just kind of scouring YouTube, I saw quail. And so I started to do the research on it because I live in in the city and I have a smaller backyard. They don't take up much space at all. And they don't need like a large area. They don't have to have a large home. And I said, I'm going to give this a try. And it was not perfect from the beginning. It's still not perfect, even though I do have 2 established covies at this point. And so that's kind of how I got into it, just wanting a meat source and one that I could bring myself to use for meat when the time was right or necessary. And so that's how I got into them. I wouldn't say they're much different from chickens. Of course, they're smaller, but chickens need food, water, shelter, dry bedding. They need care. I will say I don't deal with any diseases, or I have not dealt with any diseases in quail. However, the integration of quail is much harder than the integration of chickens. I've integrated, a flock of chickens and a flock of quail, but I would say they're about the same, except chickens take up a little more space. They need to have space to come out of the coop, where quail, you're going to keep them in whatever enclosure you're using. So I would say it's about the same. It's just the reason is different for each one, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. And the reality of it, for those of us who eat meat, whether you're harvesting that meat and consuming it, or you're just eating it and buying from the grocer, somebody else is dispatching that animal. And it's the process. And knowing where the way you do it or a hunter does it, okay, that is every step of the way, what has happened. You don't have to guess, well, did this go right? It is perfect the way you want it to be done.
Yes, and that's one of the things that I like about having a meat source, is that I do know what they were fed. I do know how they were treated. Absolutely agree with that.
So, growing up as a little girl, did you ever envision this type of lifestyle, having animals that you were going to butcher out, having a garden? Was this ever something that you ever dreamed of, going, well, I could probably do that someday, or this was just a dream that came true, or a reality that came true in 2020? You're like, let's ride this roller coaster and see what happens.
No, that this is not something that I ever actually saw myself doing. But I think with watching YouTube and I was seeing other people do it, and I was like, this is something that I am interested in. As it relates to like getting chickens, originally we got them as baby chicks. The larger they got, I got scared of them. And I was like, well, you can't have chickens that you are responsible to take care of and be scared of them. So I got used to that. With the quail, knowing that I wanted them for meat. Before I even hatched them out or even started looking for them, I found a class on dispatching a turkey. And so I took that class and I said, if I'm able to do this for, for a turkey to have meat to eat, then I should be able to do it for a quail. And my first time doing the turkey, I mean, I cried. But where I went to do it at, she said, it's very normal. If you don't have a feeling, then maybe, you want to think about that. And so that's what I did. So I had to prepare myself because this is not a life that I saw for myself. But at this point, it's a life that I can't see myself not living.
And you bring up a point. You had an emotion there. People who are doing this for a living, dispatching animals on their farm or hunting, they are very grateful for the animal that gave them the opportunity to harvest in order to provide food for their family. So that is a very good feeling to have.
Yes, I agree.
So what is one of the most unexpected joys that you have had, having this homestead, having this garden, raising these animals, etc.? What is something that you just did not expect would bring you so much joy?
I want to say probably just gardening. So it's literally this tiny seed that you start. And I absolutely love starting seeds because it just makes me feel like it's amazing to me. It's a tiny seed that's going to give me so much food. In our world, we're normally going for the big things. But it's this small seed and I'm going to get like 100% return from it because I'm going to get to eat the food. I'm going to be able to save those seeds. That's what I think is my biggest joy, starting seeds and getting that return on that harvest. That harvest on the work that I've done.
Well, Asia, we greatly appreciate the time and opportunity you've given us and the education you've shared with us. Again, remind our listeners how they can find you on the internet and your YouTube channel.
Okay. So I'm on YouTube and it's YellowDoorUrbanHomestead. And I'm also on Instagram at YellowDoorUrbanHomestead. I post very regular on both.
Well, we thank you for that, and we will certainly continue to follow your journey on your homestead, and we thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. And when we return, it's going to be your garden questions and our garden answers. You're tuned in to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show.
Got a question for Joey and Holly? Send it via email anytime to gardentalkradio@gmail.com.
Azure Standard is America's premier family-owned online store for organic foods and healthy products for your home and garden. They deliver directly to families and commercial customers through over 3,500 drop points across all 50 states. Azure Standard strives to make grocery shopping easy, bringing all your needs to one convenient pickup location. As a trusted national health food distributor, Azure Standard offers bulk and specialty health foods to communities nationwide. With over 12,000 products, each one is approved and carefully sampled to ensure the highest quality. Azure Standard holds firm to non-GMO, organic, and natural standards. From food and beauty products to household items, nutritional supplements, animal care, hobby supplies, and even garden essentials, Azure Standard truly has everything for your daily living. Visit AzureStandard.com, that's AZURE Standard.com. Use promo code Joey and Holly 15 at checkout to get 15% off for new customers who open an account for the first time and place a minimum order of $100 or more, shipped to a drop location of your choice. That's code Joey and Holly 15 at AzureStandard.com. Azure Standard is AZURE Standard.com.
Edmonds Roses is a family-owned and operated rose company with the largest selection of roses online. Use coupon code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at EdmondRoses.com. That coupon code is 15TG25 to save 15% off your order at EdmondsRoses.com.
Mantis garden tiller cultivators are the perfect solution for any garden. With their gas-powered 2-cycle or 4-cycle engine, these powerful machines can till 9 or 16 inches of land without you breaking a sweat. And it doesn't stop there. Mantis's optional attachments allow you to aerate, plow, and more with the snap of a finger. Engineered with durability in mind, Mantis tiller cultivators will be your guaranteed garden companion for a long time. You can find more out and details at mantis.com.
Pomona's Universal Pectin is a high-quality pectin that gels reliably with low amounts of any sweetener. If you're trying to reduce the amount of sugar in your diet, you'll love Pomona's Universal Pectin. Now you can make healthy homemade jams and jellies sweetened to your taste. You can use sugar or honey to sweeten. Pomona's Universal Pectin keeps indefinitely when stored in an airtight container. Easy to use, versatile, and comes with directions and recipes in every box. Find out more and where to buy at PomonaPectin.com. Also available at natural food stores and online. Roots and Rhizomes is a family-owned and operated gardening company specializing in daylilies, irises, and perennials. Use code 15TG25 to receive 15% off your order at rootsrhizomes.com. That's code 15TG25.
Hey listeners, we're excited to introduce to you Sun Warrior. They are well known for protein powders and supplements, and that they are 100% clean, plant-based, non-GMO, soy-free, gluten-free, dairy-free, and without filler. Since you are into gardening and things that come from the earth, we thought you would appreciate that they offer high-quality, plant-based ingredients that come from our Mother Earth and that your body is craving. They've made a special code for you for 25% off your order. At checkout, enter Joey Holly 25 and save 25% on your order at sunwarrior.com. That coupon code JOEYHOLLY 25 to save 25% off your order at sunwarrior.com.
My garden hasn't looked this good in a decade. That's what gardeners are saying about Carricade. No extra fertilizers, no harsh sprays, just thriving plants and massive blooms. Rated 4.8 stars. Shop Carricade.com and use the code RADIO10, that's Radio10, to save 10% off your order at Carricade.com. A non-selective herbicide that is also USDA Bio-Preferred certified? You bet. Say goodbye to Roundup and hello to No More Weeds by Naturally Green Products. No More Weeds kills weeds with no harsh chemicals and no glyphosate. Safe around pets, No More Weeds has a proprietary sticking agent to use around gardens, pools, decks, patios, anywhere there are weeds. Available online at natgreenproducts.com, Amazon, and Walmart.com. Order yours today. The same great company that brings you no more bugs.
Welcome back to the Gardening with Joey and Holly radio show. Happy to have you along. It's time for garden questions and answers. You got a question, send it on over to gardentalkradio@gmail.com, and we will get you an answer to it. If you can't, if you don't want to email, you can give us a call toll free, coast to coast, at 1-800-927-SHOW. That's 1-800-927-7469. You can go to our parent website, drop us an email there, check out things, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com. Let's see what we can get through to the top of the hour with questions and answers.
I saw an Amish video saying you can just keep the jar on the counter upside down, and apparently it seals as it cools. I'm going to try it.
Okay, we don't want to do that.
No. So they're just talking about after you pull
process,
the canner. Okay. Yeah, that's not, you don't want to do that. You want to just put them right side up and then let them do their thing.
That's a big canning no-no.
There was this thought that once you pull your jars out of the canner, you would flip them upside down, and this used to be an old practice because they would seal these jars with this paraffin wax, but that's not necessary anymore because these jars are I guess I call them self-sealing now. So that's not necessary, and it's not safe either. You want to allow it to have a natural seal.
All right. Thoughts on what to use for mulch in my 3-foot wide by 6-foot long raised bed? I was thinking coco coir or straw.
I would say either of those. I think straw would be cheaper.
Straw would be cheaper.
Yeah.
Coco coir could potentially have the issue of being a sponge and just holding moisture and causing some fungal issues and mold and mildew to develop. Just chemical-free, seed-free, dry grass clippings.
it's a free resource. Most of us have a lawn that we can at least mow and let dry and rake up and take over. It's only 18 square feet. Put about 3 or 4 inches of mulch on that, straw or that grass clippings, and I think you're going to be good if you had shredded leaves. But I would think you always look for what do you have available instead of, okay, do I need to go, what can I buy in order to fulfill the need I'm needing?
All right. So this question is, why are my strawberry leaves brown around the edges? So this can be from various things. One could be inadequate watering, so like either overwatering or underwatering. It could also be nutrient deficiencies. So depending on, maybe your soil needs something, you could get a soil test from
Soil Savvy or soilsavvy.com or growsmart.com.
Or it can be from a fungal disease or pests. So you kind of have to do some more looking into it, maybe looking at the bottom of the leaves to see if it's like some sort of pest that could be sucking the life out of those leaves. Typically, there's not too many pests that bother strawberry leaves, but you never know. Fungal disease, then you would have to, if you send us a question, sometimes it's helpful if you send a picture. We might be able to get you a better answer.
All right. I have really experienced powdery.
Extensive.
I have really extensive powdery mildew on my zucchini and pumpkin plants last year. Is there anything I should do before planting them to prevent it this year, or is it one of those things, nip it in the bud sooner as I see it starting to develop?
Sure. So powdery mildew is caused by a group of fungus, specifically of the Iraceae family. It thrives in warm, dry conditions with high humidity. So that's why you often see it close to the end of summer, because the days are getting a little bit drier, but there's still some high humidity. It can spread through wind-borne spores. So what you want to do is you want to make sure you space the plants apart properly. You don't want to crowd the plants. If you see that only one has powdery mildew and it's not looking too good, you could always pull it out before it spreads. Otherwise, there's different solutions like using vinegar and water, milk and water, baking powder and water.
If you see one leaf that is starting to get a mildew, powdery mildew, if you've not experienced, or you may have and you don't know, it's basically you take your finger and you wipe across. It's like somebody's covered your leaves with baby powder. And it is actually preventing the plant from absorbing sunlight, and it's basically suffocating itself. So and it will spread from leaf to leaf. So if you see one leaf affected, you can go ahead and cut that leaf out. Be careful as you remove it from the garden, because if you're just flopping it all around and dragging it through, those spores are going to detach and go on other plants. Now, people will say you can put it in your compost pile. If you're hot composting, that will kill the spores. I put it right in the trash, make it disappear. The fewer objects of fungal introduced or potentially having in the garden, the better off my garden is. Now, this was about zucchini and watermelon or pumpkin. This can be on watermelon. This can be on butternut squash, spaghetti squash, acorn squash. The squash family, even cucumbers, are susceptible much more to powdery mildew than other plants. So keep that spacing. I know it's tempting to go, okay, well, I can squeeze 7 plants in this row, when if you space them properly, 5 is really what you need to put in there. And if you have 5 healthy, productive plants, they're going to do much better for you than having 7 plants and 4 of them are struggling to survive because they've got powdery mildew. Now, if I think grapes get powdery mildew as well.
Yeah, but some of this stuff, like cucumbers, grapes, etc., you can't necessarily prevent like spacing them out, because you can space these plants properly, but cucumbers can get, kind of out of control with their leaves. Not saying that it's easier with squash or whatever, but it seems like cucumbers get kind of bunchy and less space, easier than squash.
Also, if you're going to water these plants, go with a drip irrigation if possible, or water at the base. And mulch, as we talked about at the later portions of the summer, the days are getting shorter, the nights are getting longer, there's more dampness in the air. Keeping that moisture, that you can potentially put on the leaves that can potentially develop the powdery mildew. Avoid doing that. Avoid getting the leaves wet late in the afternoon, because then they won't be able to have time to dry, and this is the introduction of powdery mildew. And if we can avoid causing problems that may be, that may not happen naturally, we want to avoid causing problems with our plants. Well, that will do it for us this week. We are out of time, and we certainly appreciate yours. Miss any portion of the program or want to revisit it, visit our website, thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com, underneath the Season 9 tab at the top of the page. You can revisit that or your favorite podcast platform and simply search the Gardening with Joy and Holly radio show for full shows and segments of shows from the last 9 years. Tune in to the program next week, where we will be discussing understanding fertilizer, organic, inorganic, as also blood meal and bone meal, and growing potatoes. Our guest will be author Brett Pike will be with us, and will answer more of your garden questions. So until next week, for
Holly Baird,
I'm Joy Baird, and we will see you in the garden.